Dina Hurd
Hello.
joining us on the podcast tonight. Two of the legends of the league, and Jimmy is in the bottom corner, our commissioner, the man who cannot win, shall not win, and will never win. Anyway, Gary.
Still beating you.
Gary, as I have to say it, as our champion, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you very much. I was waiting for that, and it only took like 7 seconds. That was great.
Yeah. I had to get in there before you did. And Dean, bottom place. So joining us on the podcast this week is last season's champion, Gary, and last season's last place, Dean. Both ends of the scale.
If
Jimmy,
you prefer, I'd like to refer to them as Gary top, Dean bottom.
Okay, fair. Right, so agenda for tonight.
As long as I'm on top, I'm fine.
Come here. So I actually have an agenda written up for us for tonight, right? So Jimmy's written a really cool blog on the English Premier League team of the season so far versus the Statr team of the season so far. Nice time to look at it because we're in the international break. Then we're going to obviously talk a bit about the international break, the comings and goings, who got injured, who's fit, some of the shenanigans that have happened around the international tournaments. Bit of a look at the Premier League fixtures up for this weekend, a look at our own fixtures for this weekend, and then a little quiz to finish. So the boys are only hearing this for the first time. They're going to be quizzed, so it's going to be fun. Right, Jimmy, talk to me. English Premier League team of the year versus the Statr Premier League team of the year.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I wanted to give it 3 weeks before we started just clashing side by side because a week or two means nothing. Despite coming to you clearly live from the Amex Stadium, Brighton are not expecting a top 2 finish this year. Anyway, the two teams are kind of similar for a while, but it really does highlight some differences between FPL and Statr. The first one and the most obvious one is that the players are the same but in different positions. You know what I mean? If you look at the FPL site, you've got what I would argue is probably 7 strikers or wingers comprising the entire forward and midfield. Because FPL doesn't want anyone to be a striker because then the game would be hard. And we couldn't all just pick Haaland, stitch the armband onto him, and brag to all our mates about how we're a point ahead of them. So if you go down through the FPL site, you'll see like Salah, Mbuemo, Palmer, and Saka. Okay, sorry, Palmer you could call an AM. Saka is a winger, Mbuemo is a winger, and Salah is a winger. And they're all listed as mids. So they completely swallow up midfield out of position. They're also getting points for clean sheets. I haven't seen Cole Palmer do a whole pile of defensiveness work, nor do I expect to. And then at the back, we've got good old reliable Spurs. That's not going to go wrong. You want a good, solid, predictable ship. It's Spurs being defensively tight and not cocking up. And no surprise.
Spurs are going to Spurs.
Spurs are going to Spurs. It's just a matter of how quickly they Spurs. They'll Spurs before Arsenal, but they will Spurs.
Let's run it back from the top.
Okay.
So the goalkeeper, talk to me.
Liverpool have not conceded a goal yet in 3 games, which is where nobody even trying to keep goals out is pretty huge. 11 teams have let goals in every game so far this year. There's Liverpool have 3 clean sheets, Arsenal have 2, and then 7 other teams have 1. So more than half the teams are letting goals in every week. Now, everybody can't lose every game. So obviously the ongoing strategy of send your wing backs halfway up the pitch and don't worry to that one in because you can always knock one or 2 back in the second half is still being employed. De Zerbi loved it. I'm going to throw in as much Brighton as possible. Pep loves it. City just wait for 60 minutes match. They wait for 60 minutes to win the freaking league. They'll sit back and then they won't lose a game between February and May. And this whole thing of just like don't bother defending is playing havoc over at FPL because it only reinforces how big the gap is between defenders and all of these amazing midfielders who are actually strikers. If you look at the actual scores there, none of the 3 highest scoring defenders are over 20 points on FPL. Like the gap is really, really marked there. Like you've got Porro on 16, Gabriel on 14.
So right, just to look at the defenders on the English Premier League back 3 we're going with here, it is Romero, Porro, and Gabriel. However, the Statr back 3 is a little different with Anthony Robinson from Fulham, Pedro Porro also in both teams, and the third one being Virgil van Dijk. Gary,
and big Virg.
You must be happy to see Van Dijk popping up in our game and showing up nowhere in the English Premier League game.
I'm actually surprised that my man Trent is not in there for the Statr team. To be perfectly honest with you, he's had a really, really good start.
Yeah.
But what it does highlight is that, you know, you mentioned Robinson from Fulham as a fullback, an attacking fullback, and he's had a pretty good start to the year. There seems to be a lack of, I don't want to say a lack of focus, but a lack of understanding on the FPL side that attacking fullbacks are, I suppose, your bread and butter when it comes to defenders. Now, we're only 3 weeks in, but I would be fairly sure by the time we get to about 10 to 12 weeks, you will have your Trents, your Andy Robertsons, your Robinsons from Fulham, even Wan-Bissaka from West Ham.
Ooh, he's your wildcard pick, is this?
Well, actually, to be fair, my wildcard pick as a defender would be Rico Lewis from Man City.
Okay.
Because that's another piece that you'd need to take into account. And this tactic of Pep to play defenders in central midfield, he did it last year with John Stones, and now he's doing it this year with Rico Lewis, and it's paying dividends for me in this year's league so far. And I'm hoping that continues, but I would still think your fullbacks are what's going to come out on top the longer and the further we go into the year.
Ian Matson is my baby for the year.
Can I throw something in there?
Gary.
Can I throw something in there, guys? The reason you don't see Trent or Van Dijk on the FPL side is because of squad limitations. If we disregarded legality and went more than 3 players per team, you'd have like 6 Liverpool players there, most in defence, because they're the only tight defence right now. Whereas at Statr, we don't believe in those limitations.
1 million.
What'd you say?
Okay. I think Haaland has gone up to 15.1 million, which is fucking it's anyone who didn't. A lot of people kind of put their confidence in Salah instead of Haaland in the FPL.
I have neither.
I have both.
Well, people like you, but people like you now are probably looking at Haaland's price, thinking he's actually gotten too expensive.
It's too expensive in the first place. I'm sharing the points out between Isaac and Watkins.
Yeah,
the two of them together is cheaper than Haaland on his own.
That's your draft strategy piece.
He hasn't done anything this year yet. Has he scored? He hasn't.
He'll be fine.
Yeah, he will.
He'll be fine.
Watkins will be fine.
Yeah.
But it comes down to a choice then. Do you take Haaland and someone I'm not going to say Casemiro because he was probably expensive, but a 4 and a 4.5 million player, or do you split that out and take a Ollie Watkins and a Lucas Paqueta maybe from West Ham?
Yeah. Also listed as a mid.
They're the decisions, you know. But going back to your point a minute ago there, Jimmy, about squad limitations, I'd hazard a guess that Salah, Alisson, and possibly McAllister, because of his value, are probably the top 3, or certainly within the top 5 most picked Liverpool players across the league in FPL.
Yeah, and then pickers are nailed on.
Yeah. So that's where Trent and Robertson, etc.
The big difference between FPL and Statr is we don't have those kind of squad limitations. We go draft style. So because we're doing draft style, we don't have to put those limitations in. It's just grab and go, essentially. So
that's the beauty of it. If you're drafting in FPL, you have to be looking at the start of the year going, right, Haaland is 15 million, he's only going to go up. And you have to kind of work out, well, who's my premium striker? Who are my 2 premium mids? Can I afford a premium defender? And suddenly you're playing the meta game, as opposed to just going, right, well, who's going to have an impact on the pitch? Who's going to actually perform for their team? That's why I'm delighted to see Van Dijk there. Yeah. It's why I'm delighted to see McNeil. I'm delighted to see Robinson.
Let's actually go, speaking of that, McNeil being a little point there, let's look at the midfield. So on the FPL side, as you said, it's essentially forwards, and this is where a big difference between Statr and FPL is going to show up. Because across the FPL midfield 5, you've got Mo Salah, Mbeumo, Palmer, Saka, and Luis Diaz. How many of them are actually midfielders?
Maybe Palmer.
Arguably.
Palmer would be the only one you'd argue. And even at that,
they're all forwards. Whereas in the Statr model, our top 4 midfielders, we're going 3-4-3 versus 3-5-2. There's a big brain power. But the 4 midfielders on the Statr model are Kevin De Bruyne, McNeil at Everton, Cole Palmer making both teams, and Bukayo Saka.
And look, Saka is a winger. There's always going to be that debate for certain wingers as to whether they are forwards or midfielders, because the old 4-4-2 thinking is just freaking archaic at this point. It makes absolutely no sense to be looking at things in terms of midfielders and forwards. If anything, we should have more positions. But Luis Diaz is an out-and-out striker. Like
Remo is literally a centre forward.
Like,
well, Luis Diaz wouldn't be. He would be more of a winger. I would challenge you on that. But
you reckon?
Your point. Yeah, he would. Well,
Zach is.
I
would also say Zach is a forward personally.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, I actually have a problem with how that classification works. Even like it's one of my main gripes. Like if you go back to 1970s football, for example, and the old traditional inside left and outside left positions, which were essentially where Salah plays, where Diaz plays. Like, it's not new thinking.
No.
This has been around for 40 or 50 years in English football. Those positions have been around for longer than any of us have been on this earth. And yet,
we need to bust out football
still
management term
classes that it's a 4-4-2, and it's.
Gary, can I just clarify something there? Are you claiming you weren't around in the 70s?
Moving swiftly on.
Now that we've actually looked at some, like,
I can't pass low-hanging fruit, Gary. You know that.
I know that. I know. I keep setting them up, and you'll keep knocking them down.
Here, like, if we're actually looking at the midfielders, like Kevin De Bruyne is back, and he's actually on our model. And then obviously McNeil and everything. McNeil is one of those fantastic examples of he's doing well in a team of shit wankers.
Yeah.
If we're going to be blunt about it, Jordan Pickford has single-handedly thrown 2 matches away. The last 2 matches away. I wonder whose goalkeeper he is, Dean. But yeah, McNeil is doing the business, and he makes our best starting 11. Whereas the FPL side is all forwards. So if we actually move on to the forwards, the FPL side have Haaland and Danny Welbeck.
Yeah.
Whereas our game has Luis Diaz, but he's actually a forward. Also, the big Viking and Mo Salah.
Can we take a side for a second? Obviously, Danny Welbeck is the most important player in the Premier League right now for a whole host of, well, just the one reason, on the Seagulls. But Haaland, Welbeck, and Diaz on a 3-week top out front is just further proof that the only thing that matters out front in FPL is who put the thing in the hole. And there is more to winning games of football than who puts the thing in the hole. Otherwise, every team would have 11 Erling Haalands and nothing would work.
And it's like we used to say, like when we initially set up this league about like N'Golo Kante, like, you know, nobody would have him on FPL, but he was one of the best, probably top 5 top players in the season or in the Premier League, like at his peak, you know. But no one would have him on FPL because he didn't get goals, he didn't get assists, you know. But like
there seems to be that black hole on the FPL site where if you're sitting in that number 6 position, you're not earning too many clean sheet points because your class is a midfielder, but because you're sitting in front of the back 4, you're not getting enough points. You might knock one in from 35 yards in week 7, but that'd be about the height of it.
Yeah,
like I was on YouTube actually about this, saying, you know, consider the defensive structures as opposed to just the attacking. So as you said, you know, defensive midfielders in the FPL game are worth fuck all, even though they're probably some of the most important players for the team. Like, are you picking Rodri in FPL? No,
absolutely not. And actually, if you were looking at his number 6, who would get the most goals out of all of the number 6s, that's who you're taking.
Yeah,
he does get goals and assists, but he just doesn't get enough of them to justify his value over Garnacho or even like somebody, you know, an average central midfielder.
So can I give you a perfect example that we've actually already just kind of brushed over of an outstanding midfielder who has been crucial to their team's play, who is, I was surprised with how well he's doing, and he's being used in a new role that doesn't put him in the assist zone, and that's Kevin De Bruyne, who is the 3rd highest scoring midfielder in Statr. He has been shiny on the pitch for City all season. He has been absolutely everywhere, far more pace than I thought he still had in his legs. And he doesn't show over in FPL because, as John once explained to me about Mesut Ozil, he's not the guy that gets the assist. He's the guy that passes to the guy that gets the assist. Yeah. And he's the perfect example. He's probably one of the best midfielders in the Premier League, if not the world. But he doesn't put the thing in the hole. And he doesn't put the thing to the guy who puts the thing in the hole.
You just keep saying put the thing in the hole, and it's just giving me a great time.
You enjoying that, yeah?
I am.
Yeah.
I am. Yeah.
No, he's in,
Carry on though.
But yeah, I mean, there you go. De Bruyne is not making the top 11 because the FPL side is full of strikers.
and that's mad, because I think if you were to pick one player over the last 3 years of our league, the Statr League, KDB has probably been the one who has had the most influence over it. Haaland being the exception, maybe last year, obviously because of the amount of times he stuck it in the hole. But KDB is probably the most influential.
I'd argue that Haaland wouldn't be Haaland if he didn't have KDB behind him.
Ooh, that's a big call. That's a big.
He
You can't
didn't
say that. He was doing it in Dortmund,
and he was doing it last year when De Bruyne was injured for half the year.
Like, guys, we've covered this before. If it doesn't generate points for our league, it doesn't exist. International games don't exist. Overseas leagues don't exist. There is no World Cup.
Haaland doesn't play
Only points.
football. He plays for a country that is basically Ireland, and they can't do anything. So he's one of the few players who actually had the summer off, and look what he's doing.
Yeah, he's incredible. He's nailed on. I don't like him, but you can't deny that what he does better than probably anyone else. He's currently, here's your statistic of the day, right? He's got 7 in his first 3 games. At this rate, he will cross the Alan Shearer record this season, if he maintains this. Now, it's not like they've come up against only rubbish teams or they've been particularly.
Yeah, but you're saying he's going to get a hat-trick again for the rest of the season.
It's been done. I mean, if Shearer did it, you know.
Which Alan Shearer record are we talking about here?
Single season goals.
Yeah.
Oh no, Haaland has. Or no, Salah has that. Salah has that now. From about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
4 years ago even.
Now you might be looking at like single season in a. When was it?
Haaland has
22 teams in the Premier League at one point, or something like that, possibly.
No, it was always 20, wasn't it? It was 22 in the old Division 1.
I might be thinking 1970s football again.
I think you might be thinking. I wonder why that is.
I am going grey, to be fair.
Actually,
me too, but you hold it down. Yeah,
because we're going to get on to a little talk. Like, I want to talk about some international football because I know Mr. Jack Sadler is out there watching, and I know what he tried to do to all of us with Nathan Ake this week. So we're going to talk a little bit about transfers in international football. But on worst transfers of the season so far, the fuck were you doing, Casemiro?
So my logic was, my midfield was weak. Nobody was shining.
Do like toilet flushing music when he's trying to explain himself. But go on.
I look at Casemiro, and he was fairly nailed on. And if you're in trouble, if you've got a gap, first plug it with 90 minutes a week, or as close as you can. What happened next was he put in arguably the worst performance any Man United player has put in, of him with the ball in his own half, completely unchallenged, in which he goes through 360 degrees, considers his options, and then passes the ball to the opposition player who's at least 15 meters away. I've never seen a player look so checked out. Like, genuinely, I don't watch as much football as you guys, but he looked
Paul
like
Pogba against Liverpool the year he left the club. Did fuck all. That is the single worst football performance I've ever watched.
We see a pattern here.
Yeah, you go to United, your career goes
for here, yeah. And of course, as soon as I brought him in, he put in the worst performance I've ever seen ever. That Casemiro, please don't bother checking before you cross the street. So he.
In fairness, bringing him in for a game against like title contenders is a bold choice. You know, who did you get rid of actually?
And it was 94-95 is when the league went to 20 teams, as we've confirmed by the comments.
My bad. Thank you, comments. Who did I drop to bring him in? I'm not telling you, because whoever it is going to be brilliant now, and I'll end up fucking wanting back. Please stand by. Continue discussing amongst yourselves while I check my transfer history.
Yeah, while he's doing that, like, Dean, you obviously nearly got stung with Ake. So one of the oldest moves in the StatrDraft playbook is trading your shrapnel off to unwilling and unwitting managers. Nathan Ake got rinsed, repeated, fell over, probably did a cruise shit, got stretched off the pitch, and Jack Sadler was on to probably 4 of us within a 5-minute window trying to offload the broken Ake. Dean, talk to me. What happened with you?
Well, he said he needed a defender, and he offered to take Shar off my hands. Now, I've been pretty loyal to Shar. I think that I've had him. I think this is my third season in a row having him.
You keep
He's
coming
not-
last.
Huh?
And you keep coming last. But
Well, no, the year before against second, but or third or something. I don't know, I can't remember. But no, he's just not a player. Since Newcastle have come about in the past few years, he starts every game. Like he gets 90 minutes most games. So
minus points this season as well. I thought you'd have taken that bait.
And suspended.
Well,
at the
yeah,
moment.
minus points because of one game, and he hasn't played two. So we'll kind of like leave him off with that for now.
Sorry, Dean, I'm sorry. Hold on a second. My former life as a spin doctor wants to cut through this bullshit. What you're saying is he got himself red carded in his first game and has been suspended for the last two, and you're standing by him.
Well, I've won.
Now, to be fair, he was trying to get traded a player who's not going to probably play for the rest of the season. But if it was anybody else but Fabian Schär, he'd have fallen for it.
Yeah.
But even into that, he's gonna get more points than Schär did in the first 3 games.
I said to him as well, like, if you went for someone, I don't know, like a freaking one of my the Hudson Odoi or someone like that, like Nottingham fucking player, I probably would have been like, yeah, fuck it, go on, I'll take him. But the fact that he went for a player who's guaranteed to start every game and get nearly 90 minutes every game, I decided to do a little bit of research and discovered that Eke is.
Just be honest, it was because it was Fabian Schär and you have a little thing for him.
I'm loyal to him and he's loyal to me.
He's loyal to you, is he?
He's loyal to
He's served me well over the years.
We tried to get Fabian Schär in the podcast this evening, but unfortunately, he is not writing back to Dean. He has left him on red.
Like everybody has a player that they've been loyal to through their fantasy football career, let's say, over in our league. Like for Gary, it's Robertson. I think you've had him probably 4 years on the trot now, approximately.
Yeah. I think, to be fair, I only took him this year because somebody robbed Trent on me in the second round.
I know, yeah. The second round, actually.
Yeah.
I distinctly remember it.
Oh, yeah. Robbo has always been a staple of Craigie Nagans.
Fabian Schär has been a pretty stable piece of Dean's team. I have no more solids left because Mitrovic has left me. But he was obviously my man for years.
I think mine is Kyle Walker. I think mine is Kyle Walker. It feels like I've had him for 2 or 3 years now, and he doesn't really do a whole pile. Also, he's not writing back either. So, well, he wins the Premier League every year, but he watches most of it from the stadium. Just so you know, it was a Dozy from Southampton that I dropped for Casemiro, but this week I dropped Casemiro for Harvey Barnes, which frankly I think is a move from Edozie to Barnes. I'll take it. But yeah, loyalty is the enemy. Heart is emotion, feelings, attachment. These are the enemies you must destroy. Gary, I remember it was round 2 or round 3. We just stopped and went, Gary, just take Robbo. Because no one else was going to take him, and it's like, yeah, go on, Robbo, so go on. Yeah. Like, I love the loyalty you guys have because it makes my life easier. No loyalty; they're all just tools.
Honestly, I'll argue this point actually because Robbo's not down to loyalty. The reason I took him in round 3, genuine fear someone was going to take him.
Yeah,
because he's guaranteed, similar to Schär, he's guaranteed to play. The Greek Scouser is not going to take his spot in the Liverpool team. He gets up and down the wing, pops up with an assist, 3 clean sheets so far this year. Solid. Like he's going to.
You'd really want Trent, wouldn't you?
I made a very good proposal to you.
You
John,
didn't make a very good proposal. This is the problem with people doing trades.
Let's hear it.
Hold on a second. No. Fuck off a second.
I offered Bernardo Silva.
You don't do this. Like Dean doesn't do transfers unless it's tickling his fucking bollocks. Like I'm not having it. He'll go. And you're the same. You'll be like, yeah, give me Mo Salah, and I'll give you George Boyd, who hasn't been in the Premier League in 3 years. And
if at all possible, Jimmy, can we get a fact check on this one, please? Who has more points, Bernardo Silva or Trent Alexander-Arnold year to date in the league over the first 3 games?
I haven't actually.
And I don't think there's much in it, to be fair.
But if you stick with me, guys,
it's not the point. If you're going to come to a man with a trade, make a fair trade.
That's a fair. Who thinks that's not a fair trade?
It is.
Trent for Bernardo Silva, Liverpool defender for a City attacking midfielder.
How do you win from a
So
fair
Trent has
trade?
38 points.
Like a mutually beneficial deal rather than Dean's usual. And like Dean's the absolute hero for
Trent
going,
has more
here,
points
give
so
me
far.
Haaland
Yeah.
and you can have Reece James who hasn't played in 9 months. What?
Trent has 7 more points this season.
Yeah.
7.
Can
Yeah.
confirm Silva's 31,
That's
Trent's
down to,
38.
Yeah.
and that's down to the clean sheets that Liverpool have had, which were completely unexpected, if everybody's honest.
Yeah, but he also hasn't got as many assists as he probably expected to have. So either way, I'm not happy about having Trent or liking him in general, but like as long as it pisses off Gary, I'm keeping him all year.
Yeah.
These are the things that truly matter.
This is yeah. Who cares? Who cares who wins as long as Jimmy doesn't?
I never do. We worked something else out earlier on as well. I had my years mixed up. I haven't actually come second in one. I've come second in 6 last 10 and won one of them. So I got a lot of silver going on. A lot of silver. Some of that thanks to you, Gary. So good you woke up that one Sunday.
Yeah, that will forever be ingrained in my brain. I am considering getting Mateta's name tattooed across the back of my shoulders just because of that.
Ooh.
I kind of feel
Oh,
like at
that
this
one.
point I should have
Iconic.
a medal, but just a banana.
Like if I can
Well,
get you
that's
guys
a
on, hold on, I've got a proposal. If I can get you,
Good man.
I was going to say, whoever comes bottom of the league this season gets the banana. It's a little banana tattoo,
Oh,
Little
Jesus
banana tattoo.
Christ. Would you fucking give over?
little baby banana. It'll feel realistic to you, like.
Okay, so for those who don't know, John is so proud of his tattoos that I have seen him drop his pants to show strangers in nightclubs in Dublin, and not in a sexy way. Although it did win them over.
Yeah. Okay. So context, I have lots of Pokemon drawn on my legs. My right leg is all Pokemon.
All Pokemon, but lads, it's very high up the leg.
Oh, it's still coming down. There's more.
I'm just traumatized to silence.
That's fair. Come here. Anyway, back on track.
Fixtures.
Was there any? No, just before we get onto that, was there any performances in the internationals that made you kind of go, Any players that might have perked up during the internationals where you're like, I have to keep an eye on them?
I can think of two
Go on.
English lads.
Oh, the one who's suspended this weekend in Declan Rice.
Mm.
And the one will be warm in the bench in Jack Grealish.
Yeah, is it great they can do it when they need to, huh?
For me, it was Ryan Gravenberch,
Of course it is.
Liverpool midfielder, who I have just taken, and I was actually shocked to see nobody had him.
I was shocked as well when I saw that. Yeah.
Evan Ferguson is back,
back doing nothing.
but he's back fit, which means Danny Welbeck's place in Brighton is about to be taken.
Did he look fit to you against Greece?
I mean, like for a man who hasn't played football in as long as he has,
Exactly.
getting some minutes in the tank playing for Ireland can only help.
Yeah.
I'm not. Oh, geez,
I wouldn't be.
Don't get me wrong.
I wouldn't be worried. Whoever has Welbeck, I wouldn't be worried.
Not this week, but probably in 2 to 3 weeks' time, it would be. That's a guaranteed sub for the next 2 weeks. Welbeck off.
Welbeck is starting on Spit on That Hwang, Jack's team.
That's a good name.
It's
the second best name in the league after Damien's team.
You know what? I was worried about Jack. I was thinking new guy comes because it's his first season and he's given it a valiant effort, but he's been quite unlucky with his fixtures. Everybody's having their best week against him, so he's right at the bottom. And I was a little bit worried about him. And then he tried to slip me an Ake while I wasn't looking, and I was like, "Nah, he's gonna be fine. He's just enough to escape. He's ruthless. He's doing okay."
I'm feeling a little bit left out. He didn't try and pawn Ake off.
To be fair, after his attempt on Dean, so Jack initially got on to me, and then I literally, the second the message came in, because he was like, "Give me a Matson." I was like, "Yeah, for who?" So I'll give you Ake. I was like, he's definitely got injured. That's why you're throwing this at me, because I know what Jack wants from my team, because he's made a trade offer every week since the start of the season in Kobe Mainu. He's mad for a bit of Cobby. So when he came in looking for Matson, what? Don't laugh at that one. But you know what I mean? He was coming in looking for Matson, so I knew something was amiss. So he got on to Dean, And then I was like,
I-
John, I know Jimmy's tired. Get onto him. And, will I try Gary? I was like, Gary will know you're up to something.
Yeah, because
How
it's
tired do you think I am?
straight out of play. It's straight out of page
You're
one.
old, Jimmy.
playbook,
You're
to be
always
fair.
tired.
Your man's out here quoting Nobby Styles as the best player next year, and you think I'm old. All right, go on.
But yeah, no, I'm thinking Ferguson could be one to watch over the next couple of weeks. But anywho, Premier League fixtures this weekend. Talk to me. We've got the North London derby. Let's start there.
That looks like the fixture of the week, apart from... Hang on, which one's North London? Oh, that London, yeah. No, I'm
Wow,
looking
you're
at the
going
other
to do
London there.
wonderful at the quiz later.
I'm looking at
Arsenal,
Fulham and West
Arsenal
Ham.
against Spurs.
Arsenal Spurs. And Arsenal are missing Odegaard, Declan Rice, and Moreno.
Odegaard looked like a bag of boiled shit last week in the Premier League. He looked like I would look on a pitch.
Rolled his ankle, so he's out for the next month.
Yeah,
Is it a
there's no
loss?
loss in him not being there. Well, from a leadership point of view, I guess it's a loss. I still think Arsenal are going to do terrible things to Spurs.
Yeah.
I would have an outsider. I reckon Spurs might get something from that game.
I think the only player on the Arsenal team that they can't afford to lose is Odegaard. Everybody else is replaceable. Odegaard's probably the only one that's not.
Yeah, we're going to big.
As much as I hate him, Declan Rice could be a close second to Odegaard, and I think that's where Spurs have a shot at them.
Yeah,
like his
missing both of them
is after being held up, so he's suspended. Is it for 1 or 2 games?
I think it's just
two yellows?
Two yellows. Yeah.
Okay, guys, so just
the most ridiculous sending off in the history of the Premier League. But
Solanke's fit again.
Quick stat check on Spurs, if I may, on form. Lost to Newcastle. Drew with Leicester.
Everybody beats Everton.
They drew with Leicester first day of the season. They are not on
First
form.
day of the season against a promoted team is
An excuse?
can't really.
It's a lovely excuse. Don't get me wrong. It's a lovely excuse, but it's 4 points from 3 games.
You
for
can
a
tell you don't
top
watch
6
football
club.
because you can tell you don't watch much football because a promoted team coming into the league with their first game being at home, you could be Real Madrid rocking on and they'll still put up a fight that day.
Just like Burnley against City last year on the Friday night. I remember. I watch football. Spurs aren't performing. They're certainly not going to perform against the quality of Arteta's Arsenal. Arsenal are outstanding.
They are, but they're missing 2 of their most influential players in the engine room.
They are.
So on paper, if you get your strongest Arsenal 11 versus your strongest Spurs 11, and I have a few Spurs fans that are going to kill me for this, but Arsenal beat them 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Won't argue that point, absolutely. But they're missing Rice and they're missing Odegaard.
And how's the Spurs injury situation? Yeah, it's not bad at all. Solanke's on the way back.
Solanke's back.
Okay.
Solanke is
Richarlison's
back.
out, but sure. Richarlison's really just a hype man.
Who's going to fill in for Arsenal? Because didn't they sell a couple of number 10s over the summer? So
In Emil Smith-Rowe.
Gone.
do you think maybe Havertz might drop back?
It's going to be Partey. It'll be
Bring
Havertz.
back Granit Xhaka.
I would say Partey or Xhaka, probably not both.
Xhaka should be on the
Oh,
Ballon d'Or.
Xhaka's gone.
Xhaka should also be on the Ballon d'Or list.
Well, I thought you were joking for a second. Gary.
No.
What?
Hold on a second.
I was.
On the 30-man list for the Player of the Year last season, I'm fairly sure Xhaka's actually on the Ballon d'Or top 30 list.
Well, that's because he played in an unbeaten Leverkusen
He was the
side.
captain of the unbeaten.
He was the captain.
Yeah.
Is there? I think I'm going to say something I don't often say now. I think Dean's right. Maybe drop Havertz back and play him behind Sterling.
Or Jesus, maybe Jesus, or Jesus and Sterling, yeah.
Well,
Sterling wouldn't be match
Would
fit. Would
you
you?
even fucking maybe? Yeah.
Jesus ain't doing anything.
Trossard.
Trossard started last week. And you don't usually see that, but Trossard started last week. Normally he's a 15-20 minute man, and he was absolutely lethal the week before. Can't remember who it was against, but he came in and scored 2 and assisted 1 in the space of about a blink, whereas he started against Brighton and was still top quality. He looks after the left, Saka on the right, and then up until now Havertz out front, but maybe put Sterling front and center. I don't know. There's a lot of things they could do. They're not dead yet.
Partey and Jorginho in the middle.
2 DMs though.
What do they have? Unless you're going to literally play a line of 4 behind a striker and leave Thomas Partey on his own to clean up, and that's a terrible idea in the derby.
Yeah, and against Spurs as well.
It'll actually be really interesting to see now that you really think about it. It's actually.
But like, this is it. If you're trying to pick your lineup now for this weekend, like I'm looking at, like, I don't think I don't think I have a lot of investment in Arsenal.
I have no Arsenal players. Do we? No, I don't, and I have one Spurs player. So
If I was you, though, I would go looking at your lineup.
2 Spurs players. Sorry, you would what?
What?
And Joey is 4 Spurs and 5 Arsenal, so he's the most heavily invested in this game, despite being himself the only Spurs fan in the league. I like Arsenal's thing where they don't change their defenders every week. That bothers me when City do that, but
I
Arsenal
have Saliba and Calafiori, so I'm kind of thinking Saliba's solid. I don't think Calafiori is going to start in the Prem yet. Despite
Not in the London derby, anyway.
They're not going to throw him in the deep end on that.
No, probably not.
Probably
Not.
Is it Gabriel who plays beside Saliba?
Yeah, up left, yeah.
Ben White, and then either Yuri and Timber, Zinchenko could push up into midfield.
Zinchenko was gonna. That's the call right there, because he did that last season. He was one of those inverted defenders who actually played in midfield, and he does it for Ukraine.
And then it'll be
international football.
It'll be Calafiori or Timber at fullback though.
Timber. The Timber is genuine quality, to be fair.
I would say anyone who needs to be made for Arsenal is the only team that anybody could have more than one defender.
Who's Joey playing this week? Like Joey's essentially shooting out against himself for most of this weekend, and he has got this weekend. He is playing
Dermot.
He's playing Dermot.
He's playing the man at the top of the league with 9 points, 3 wins, and still a horrendous gift for being really strong at drafting.
Old Republic's got Killing Me Softly. So Dean's against who's killing me softly? With Dave?
Is that Damo?
Killing Me Softly is Kim.
We've got the there's it. Craggy Nagans versus the Aristocrats.
For the second week in a row.
Yes, there is an aberration in this year's brackets wherein we will almost always be playing each other 2 weeks in a row, one home, one away. But yes, Gary, I'm quite happy to beat you a second week in a row. Last week, the score was, let me just see, let me just adjust my glasses.
It was 115 to 85.
Gary, what's
Yeah, it was
152.
And you were
150.
Yeah. So I beat you by roughly your entire score.
And I've got
but that still only gave you 3 points. Yeah,
which is more than 0. Just
it is. But it's still only 3 if you know.
Right. So beaten like a redheaded stepchild. Yeah. Cool.
Wow.
Hey, look, I'm happy. You know, I know you need to take these little wins. You know, considering what generally happens to you at the end of the season. So
he wins absolutely nothing.
I'm fine to take the smack talk right now.
But he wonders why he wins nothing. We all gang up against him. It's this smug nonsense all year long.
I love my black cape.
And then we all literally pile on.
I want a monocle.
He shall not pass. It's not happening.
There was a private chat at one point that was labeled "anyone but Jimmy."
Yeah. It's gone. I'm disappointed.
Well, now we have the winner's circle.
It's a new season, so you know.
Now we have the winner's circle plus Dean.
We should get
3 most successful players in the league's history in me, Gary, and Dermot, and Dean.
I have as many trophies in this league.
You've won fuck all, man.
So.
Well, Dean won a cup back in 1983 or something. I don't know. He said there's a spreadsheet there that says he won something. I'm not fucking digging that thing up to find out the particulars because it's the equivalent of Old Trafford or United. They're counting their Newton Heath wins. You know what I mean? Like Dean was there at some point. He won something because everything went wrong.
You've won as many trophies as the people who don't.
We have a proud history here at Shenanigans FC, and we will not be silent.
We've had over the years.
We will celebrate it.
I think we've had 22 different players over the last 10 years that have hopped in and out of our little mini league. Dean, put it like this: you are level with all the people who don't play anymore.
No, not accurate. But
I'm literally looking at the table here. Gareth, Jimmy, Amo, Martin, and then you've Dave, Joey, Jack, who are all new.
Yeah.
It's not great, Dino. It's not great. And I'm ahead of you because Eliminator is worth more than a cup.
Kim's won more important trophies than you.
The Eliminator? Is that
James,
kind of like the Carabao Cup?
What?
Is that not kind of like the Carabao Cup? Like, I mean, like you win it, but do you really care that you won it?
Yeah, you do.
It's
And
more
also,
like the Johnson's Paint Trophy, to be fair.
one of yours is a cup win, Dean, which is about as valuable as an under 13's fucking fail medal. Like, anyway, look, that's history. Let's look to the future, people. Let's look to the future. The hell with international nonsense. It is nonsense.
Right. Now that we're done talking about the North London derby, all of you give me a prediction for the match.
3-2 Arsenal.
3-2 Arsenal, Dean?
Fuck, do you know what? I think it could be maybe 2-2.
2-2, okay. Gary?
I'm going to go 2-1 Spurs.
Ooh.
Saucy.
I'm going to go for 4-3 Spurs. Goal with games.
Oh.
Game with goals, not goal with games. Reversing my words there. Anyway, next spotlighted fixture for the weekend. So this, I just want to have a look at a couple of them because obviously I'm slightly invested. But Fulham and West Ham, that is a.
Like, are you invested? Like, are you a Fulham fan this week? Do you know? I know.
Well, next week I'm going to be a Leicester fan, and then I'm going to support Al Ahly in a week's time.
Like when John said there, like I'm invested, I was like, okay, this could be one of about 14 teams here.
Yeah. Anyway, Fulham West Ham. That is a tasty looking game. It's two teams that are quite evenly matched, in my opinion. Like West Ham have an awful lot of new players. Fulham have an awful lot of new players. Both teams have done a lot of business, and the records this season are fairly similar.
Yeah,
I smell a 0-0 draw.
I 100% agree. That's why I brought Wan-Bissaka into my starting lineup. I think there's a clean sheet to be had.
Yeah. Who did you bring into your lineup?
Wan-Bissaka.
Wan-Bissaka. Is he going to be the starting choice there?
Yeah. He
hasn't started most of the games this season, though.
That's down to match fitness. But the reports, the kind of the London papers and the London kind of match reports, etc., have been actually praising him for his performances this year. Now I haven't seen it, to be fair, but if you're listening to the chatter, he's a solid bet this week. I think
he will also be up against probably the most interesting player to watch this season so far in Adama Traore. Not saying he's good, but he's been definitely the most interesting player to watch playing football this season so far. He's lightning quick, he's big, he's got a couple of goals, and he's
lightning quick and more likely to hit the ball out of the stadium from 10 yards than put it in the top corner.
I think this is the year that it clicks for him.
I feel like he's got so much potential. I don't know what it is. He just looks like he should be a fucking superstar. And I think at least once a year, I always bring him in thinking he's going to be fucking unreal now. And he gets to like 3 points in 6 games. And I'm like...
Well, like they're not... Like down at Fulham, they're not oiling him up. They're not treating him like a bunny. Like, you're not getting oiled up and greased up.
I mean, in his first game against United, he had 5.5 points. Second game against Leicester, 20.5 points. And Ipswich, he had 17.5. So he's fucking on form, like.
Ipswich and Leicester, 2 promoted teams.
He didn't score against Leicester, though.
He scored in one of them.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. He got 20.5 points against Leicester, and he didn't even have to score a goal to get that. You know, I mean,
a lot of running, a lot of dribbles, very involved.
So I mean, that's impressive. Like, you know, he definitely were looking.
Him and Wan-Bissaka is going to be a fascinating face-off. Emil Smith-Rowe has made a huge difference to how Fulham play. Andres Pereira is what you would call both an EPL and Statr staple at this point. The man is just a dream for picking up those handy points every week.
I think he's your loyalty pick, John. You've had him a couple of years now, and he's worked.
No, Jack has him this year, and he wants to trade him to me for Manu, and it's really breaking my heart to not have both. I know I'm getting a message after this.
Alex Iwobi and Max Kilman, and I had both of them last year, and they're absolutely both popped off this year.
Alex Iwobi, another one. Fulham have an awful lot of attacking threat this year. I think they're going to move up the table. I think them and West Ham are of a very similar level. And West Ham have bought a big man that is probably going to take over my Mitrovic obsession, but he's probably going to upset me way more in cult hero Nicholas Fulcrook.
Yeah.
But here's the catch.
Oh, what are you predicting, John? What do you think Fulham will? Do you think Adama Traore will turn up and do the business?
I think at Craven Cottage it's a 1-0 to Fulham.
1-0.
Is there a worry about too many cards in that game?
Yeah.
Because that seems to have been holding back the Fulham defence in terms of points all season, which is nothing new.
Going to get booked. Diop, and Calvin Bassey is one of the most erratic and mental defenders you'll watch playing live. Oh,
see, the thing is, statistically speaking, just on points here in terms of individual performance, Anthony Robinson is my boy. He's on 40 points with an average of 13. He's played every minute. But after that, they're actually looking like Southampton defenders. Kenny Tete has 8 points for the year. Diop's on 6.5. Anderson has a quarter of a point, and Bassey has a quarter of a point, and that's the best of Fulham's defence. So not the best fantasy assets if you're playing.
Andy Robinson's on the team of the season. He was on the Premier League team of the season in general last season.
He's the only one.
And I will hear no slander to my boy.
Oh yeah, all about Robinson. But when you take Robinson out of the picture, like he's as much as treble all of the other defenders at Fulham put together.
Oh yeah, no, don't touch Bassey, don't touch Diop, do not touch Tete. They are all absolute liabilities. They're going to get carded. You've got Sasha Lucic, who's going to sit in front of him. He won't get booked. You have Harrison Reed, who'll probably come on and get booked. Tom Carney, who'll also come on and get booked. That's their purpose in life.
Yeah. I wouldn't be picking up their players, but it will be an interesting match. But I'm sticking with it.
Herrera is worth picking up. Iwobi's worth picking up. Adama Traore is worth picking up.
They're bench formers, mate. Bar Robinson and Traore, if he stays on this form. I think what happened last year was we all had the entire Fulham squad picked, and they all spent most of their year in the reserves because Fulham are that kind of mid-table bullshit that never really does anything. And their players mostly reflect that, apart from a couple.
You're a Brighton fan, but okay. Anyway, give me your
European football for Fulham last year, John. Was there?
Gary, tell me what do you think the result in that match is going to be? I'm just going to ignore that.
I'm going for boring 0-0 for this one, with a couple of with a potential red card. It's a London derby. Okay. It's a London derby.
Fair.
You just know it's going to be Robinson now, don't you? He's going to get himself. He's going to headbutt the ref or something stupid. Like.
He's going to go in and break one.
I think it'll be 1-0. I think they'll get a goal each, but it'll be low scoring. Yeah, so I think 1-0.
Jimmy.
0-0 and more like a deck of cards, like just yellows left, right, and center. There'll be and the boys will start taking turns trying to take each other's ankles off, but so still 0-0.
Consensus is basically back the draw and 5+ yellows.
Yeah, that's if we were talking about that kind of sin, then yes, that's how we'd play it.
I think the league is due a 0-0. It hasn't happened in the season yet. I don't think.
No,
it hasn't. No, there hasn't been one. Other matches this week worth a look. It seems to be all very kind of predictable one-sided fixtures for the most part.
Like Liverpool are playing Forest. That's got handy win written all over it. Southampton are home to United in an early kickoff. That's got handy home win written all over it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wolves Newcastle could be interesting.
I don't think Wolves have a football team anymore.
Wolves are absolutely filthy. Did you see the first game? Yeah. There were lads on the Arsenal team in the first game of the season that have to go home and really think about who they are after some of the experiences they had in the pitch with Wolves. Wolves are filthy defenders, and it's working for them, but expect them to shut down all of that Newcastle flair and expect people like Bruno Guimaraes and Joelinton to be very easily provoked.
I do like Bruno Gummi, though.
He's a good player, but there is a temperament issue there.
Yeah, he's a dick. But he's good at it.
It's just a shame we won't get to see the Wolves defense try to get a response out of Richarlison, because they would get it.
Yeah.
Or not Richarlison. No, it escapes me.
For Newcastle?
Newcastle injured. Oh, Fabian Schär. Just walk right in there, Dino. You just walk right in. Love to see Newcastle win. I like Eddie Howe. I like their whole setup. I like that he's doing a lot.
You
with
like
relatively
Saudi,
low- Well, I don't really like Saudi, but to be fair, he's not playing like $1 billion 5 in each position squad depth ball like Pep is. He's got a pretty shallow squad depth, and he's done good stuff with it. Which I reckon is a sign of a
that's
good
not down
manager.
by choice though. That's the
PSR,
Premier League. Yeah, what's it called? ORP, FRP, whatever it's called. These days.
FFP, financial fair play.
But yeah, financial fair play.
But that doesn't apply to
That's the
top half
only
teams.
reason.
That's only for little teams like Everton and Forest, isn't it?
Well, Newcastle have
No,
to
the
start getting the money, and
sustainability.
they see what Newcastle have done is they looked at the City model and went, "Oh shit, we're not allowed to do that," so they're not actually able to get sponsored £1 billion by a post box somewhere in Brighton.
Which means
Okay.
they actually have to budget when they're buying in players. They can't play $1 million fantasy football.
They're not going to do the other thing of like hiring a manager, but also hiring on a triple size salary to be a consultant for a business that doesn't exist, or any of those type of things that may or may not have occurred at any point in time in the last.
Allegedly, the opinions expressed by John are not the opinions of StatrDraft.
May or may not. This is all to be discovered, is it not?
Your home may be at risk if you do not keep up repayments. State of play so far? Or should we talk about how City are going to brutalise Brentford? How Villa are going to embarrass Everton? What Liverpool are going to do?
A hat-trick of hat-tricks in his fourth game of the season?
That would be awful, wouldn't it? I mean, it's pretty likely. 3 keeps him on track for that record. Whatever that record is.
Give us a state of
play.
play.
2 hat-tricks in a row last year as well.
Go again?
He did get 3 in a row last year, didn't he?
No, not 2 in a row. I don't know, 3 in a row. I think 2 in a row.
No, he's got 7 Premier League hat-tricks in total.
What?
He's got 7 Premier League hat-tricks in total.
And this is season 2 or season 3?
3. Yeah.
That's insane.
I know, it's insane. In his first year, he won everything there was to
He
win.
probably will break the record for most hat-tricks in the Premier League. I think. Guys that are above him are 8, 9, 10, 12.
Yeah.
So
he might actually break that this year.
He might, but if the fucking whole trial doesn't go City's way, he could be out the door next year.
He's also in the middle of renegotiating a contract.
Yeah, well, I mean, he might be doing that for his own sake as well. To say, but
he'll probably stick a release clause in there worth mental money.
Yeah.
And go, do you know what? If we do get in trouble, you can leave for the handsome sum of everything, and join Kylian Mbappe at Real Madrid and just ruin football for everybody.
I don't particularly like what he does to the fantasy football game, but I have to say he's doing his career the right way. He's going where he's going to play football to the most people and win the most stuff by having the most impact. I think that's kind of what you're supposed to do with that level of ability. And heading out to Saudi now, I don't know, this whole football in the desert thing could yet turn to go the way that the Chinese experiment went 10 years ago. The American one took 25 years and an awful lot of practice and celebrity to get going. I don't know if there's any staying power in the Saudi thing. So for him to jump out now for a couple of years basically takes him out of the limelight at a point in his career when visibility is everything. If he wants to be a kind of a Ronaldo level global celebrity kind of thing, then
see the difference in the Saudi model versus the difference in the Saudi model versus the Chinese and the American model. It was we'll say what America are doing at the moment is they're gearing towards the World Cup. They wanted to improve their league with foreign imports to help raise the profile of the game in the country, to get more kids moving from sports like American football to playing soccer, to increase the talent pool to go and win a World Cup, or to just generally improve the competitive nature of the sport in the country. Now, Saudi don't give 2 fucks about that. They want the razzmatazz, the star power. They're essentially playing Ultimate Team. Going, let's clip all these pieces together. What's the Premier League have regulations on you have to have 8 homegrown players in your squad. The amount of English or players in Spain right now that are holding Irish passports, Conor Gallagher, Jude Bellingham being 2. Harry Kane they're all playing on Irish passports to beat European laws around Brexit and employment. Saudi do not have any of those squad limitations in play. Apart from you're only allowed 2 you have to have 2 of something in the squad, and apart from that, do what you want.
But isn't their model completely different, where the Saudi league essentially buy the players and then decide where they play
Distribute them where they play, yeah.
and distribute them out like that?
Yeah, kind of very American, kind of almost a crossbreed with the American system of like draft and share.
Saudi League draft would be something to behold.
In time, I think.
For about a round.
Yeah, I think that's their move. I think that's what they're looking at, is doing like an ultimate card stack that get the tier 1 players. Then you're going to get younger tier 2 players like the likes of an Ivan Toney. He's going to go over there for the next 4 years, absolutely make a fortune. Probably be the top goal scorer in the league. Like Mitrovic was the top goal scorer in the Saudi League last year over, Ronaldo, and over Neymar and over Benzema. Because these fellas can go there at a young age, rip up the league, and fuck off.
But nobody's watching them, John.
Exactly. But
Which is why your big name players, your tier 1 players, are all 35 and plus. So Benzema's what, 36, 37. Ronaldo's nearly 40.
But with
they're going out there for a payday, just like Jordan Henderson. Not that I'm salty about that, but
if the money they're offering at tax-free, right, essentially tax-free if you stay there over 2 years,
it's insane.
Is going to be enticing if you're,
but not to someone like Haaland.
No, not
because someone like Haaland will make that same amount of money playing in a top tier league like England because of all the endorsements, etc., that he can get, and still win absolutely everything. And still go to Saudi in 15 years' time and earn 5 million a year or whatever the hell.
I need to just cut in with something here. For anybody who's watching us, there is a comments thread, and our erstwhile friend Damien has decided to spend the day fact checking me. I'm not reading any of his corrections.
At the current rate, Haaland will break his own record in 15 years for most goals in the season.
Yeesh. Okay, and yes, my football knowledge is top tier, Damien. Thank you for your kind words of support. Yes,
give us a stay in the league, and then I want to wrap this up with
a quick quiz. Yes,
give it a name. I'm going to have to give it a name, but basically, I'm going to quiz. There's a quiz game.
Right, you think of a name while I rant for 45 seconds or so. We're 3 weeks in. We have 1 team on 3 wins, 1 team on 3 losses. The ever-present Dermot, my wonderful younger brother, is top of the pack with 3 wins from 3. However, he only has the 3rd highest points total. Second place is myself, Dave, Dean, and John, all on 2 wins each. But I have myself and Dave have significantly more points than you two boys. So good to see the spirit of Division Crayon lives on. On a win each, Draft Punk, that's Damo, 1 win for Joey, 1 win for Kim, and 1 win for Gary, who's currently sitting on minus 63 points difference and 230 points. And at the very bottom, it's Jack, who, again, don't write him off. He hasn't got the players, but he's got the fucking teeth for this game. You know what I mean? It's a nice even table. It's a nice level table. I don't like to see a runaway of 2 or 3 with 9 points right at the start and then everything falls apart. It's good that it's balanced. But the system we're playing this year has 4 qualifying for the playoffs. So if we've got 6 to 7 teams in the mix through the year, that's going to make things very, very interesting. In previous years, we've had 8 players and had 6 go through the playoffs, which meant that basically all you had to do was not be John or Dean and you were fine. But this year, you're going to have to not be John, Dean, or any of the people that are around their zone of kind of limitless.
I had a bad season last year, but that also was coming off the back of the league's first ever treble. May I remind you once again?
Yeah, sorry, couldn't hear you there, John. New phone, who's this?
Interesting stat, Jimmy. Had we had the same system that we have this year, if that had been in last year, you would have won the league because I finished 5th, if I remember rightly, in the
but I think I was
standings.
6th. I think
you weren't.
Wasn't I? No.
No.
I would have won the league.
You would have won the league. Yeah.
It's the spiritual champ. The guy you all love to hate. I promise, by the way.
I'll make sure the spiritual champ trophy gets down to you next week, along with that second place forever trophy.
Please remember, I do have a family.
Great.
I promise to curl my moustache up just for discussion of my evil tactics for future podcasts.
Right.
Okay? It's looking like a nice even season, and I'm loving it so far. And long may it last. Over to you, Jay.
It's quiz time. Right. How this is going to work is basically fast finger first. Shout out the answer. You
What
all
do I
get
do with the
one
finger?
shout. Everybody gets one shout each.
Okay.
So once you've shouted it, don't repeat it because somebody else can say it to get the points.
So
There's
just
no
shout, basically. This
Just
is how your
shout.
podcast quiz is going to
Everyone
work.
just
Hold
shouts.
on a
Like,
second.
shout.
If
Shout
everybody
into the
gets it
microphone.
wrong, we'll do one round of comeback-ins.
Okay.
Fair?
Okay. Do I shout the answers or do I shout my name or do I just shout a noise? Can I
Shout the
pick my
answer.
noise? My
Shout
noise
the
is
answer. Is it?
Shout the answer.
shout the answer. Okay.
Shout the answer. Okay. Are we ready? Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to
No.
need some, like, cha-cha music or something to break into this quiz.
It's the John quiz. John quiz.
It's going to be shit because I wrote the questions myself.
Last week we ever do the John quiz. The John quiz.
We're going to clip that and use it later. Anyway.
Oh, lads.
That's the jingle. Right, go on. Question 1. Who was the highest point scorer in our league last year? Player, not team.
Haaland.
Saka.
Saka. Jimmy. 1-0. Question 2. Heimer Hallgrimsson, the new Irish football manager, previously worked as a what before becoming a football manager?
Viking.
No.
PE teacher.
Caretaker.
No. What did you say, Gary?
Caretaker.
No.
Skilled caretaker.
Everybody's back in for one more.
Janitor.
What'd you say?
Janitor.
No.
Electrician.
Wax and beauty technician.
Incorrect. The answer was dentist. He was still working as a dentist while he was the manager of Iceland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got the teeth for the Ireland job.
Still 1-0. Oh, ho, ho. That was very, very
I'll
good.
get my coat.
Yeah, you can leave. Right. Erling Haaland has scored back-to-back hat-tricks in the Premier League, but who has the most hat-tricks in the history of the Premier League?
Andy
George
Cole.
Boyd.
Henry.
Jimmy, what did you say?
I said George Boyd.
No. Gary?
Andy Cole.
No. Dean?
Henry.
No. Back in. Everybody gets another shout.
Alan Shearer.
No.
Aguero.
Aguero. Gary Cronin.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sergio Aguero has 12. Alan Shearer has 11.
Jesus.
Okay.
And Erling Haaland is currently at 8 or 7. So he
Potentially breaks that this season.
if not next
By
year.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Right.
Halloween.
Career path question.
Oh God.
I have played for Real Madrid Castilla, Valencia, Chelsea, Manchester United, Galatasaray, Vitesse Kobe, and Western City Wanderers.
Juan Mata.
Yeah, Gary Cronin.
You forgot Craggy Naggins.
He signed from the other day.
Gary Cronin.
Matt Apocalypse. Never forget.
2-1-0. Next
We're
question.
not telling the Mad Apocalypse. We promised we would tell the Mad Apocalypse story last week. I'm once again going to promise that we will tell it another time.
We will tell the Mad Apocalypse
But
story.
it needs a dramatic retelling, possibly in black and white.
You know what?
as I
The next
stick it
session
under
we
fire.
do,
It
we'll just
probably
do-
needs its own podcast.
Do you know what we
It
do? We
needs
just
some
do
podcast.
the next episode. We do just the lore of the league, and we talk about the Matt Apocalypse. We talk about the great match fixing scandal of 22, the Chris Smalling conundrum, Phil Jones,
The triad.
the triad.
Good times.
Oh, yes.
Oh, so much betrayal and treachery of your friends. I love it.
Yes.
I love
Next
it.
question 5, and the scores are currently 2-1-0. Right, Angel Gomez made his England debut this week, but can you tell me who his famous ex-Premier League godfather is? This was in every newspaper and article about him this week.
Phil Jones.
No. Dean is currently Googling this.
Googling.
Absolutely cheating.
I vaguely remember reading the headline or whatever. Like I'm trying to.
Wasn't the Spurs goalkeeper Gomez, was it?
No. Dean, over to you before it's to come back in.
What is it? Allison?
No. Ex-player, not current player. Right, everybody gets another crack.
David De Gea.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
No.
Can I ask? Was he so? Angel Gomez has obviously played for England. Is his godfather English?
No.
Give us. Oh,
It's one of the 3 nations that he's actually eligible to play for.
so that's Portugal and is it Nigeria or Brazil?
Yeah, there's got to be a fucking time. Fucking.
Come on, I'm doing a countdown now. Like
We're on a live fucking podcast here. People are watching.
Gary doesn't
9,
know.
8,
I don't know.
I'm trying to think of Portuguese international players that actually.
5, 4,
It's not Ronaldo.
3.
Nani.
Yeah. Nani.
What?
Complete shot in the dark, man. I was just literally going Portuguese
kidding me.
international players. Who? And because somebody mentioned a United player, I was like,
It was Nani.
Nah.
Okay.
fuck off.
I'd just like to point out that I believe that means that, as is the natural order of things, I finished second and Dean's finished last.
3-1-0, 5 questions in, 5 to go. So
5 to go. Oh, this is a
Five to
brilliant.
go.
Brilliant.
5 to go. Yeah,
Must be
quiz is
having
10
it.
questions.
Get
So
warmed
there's
up
still
now.
a chance for everybody to get back into this. You just can't let Gary get the next 3 right. Right. Which goalkeeper has made the most saves so far this season?
Jose Sa.
No.
Mickelson.
Who'd you say?
Your man, my lad, Leicester.
No.
Michelson.
No.
Max. Can't remember his name.
Dean? I also do have a tiebreaker question if it gets that far. But we'll see.
Oh, I need my go. I think I know who it is. I
Raya.
think I know who it is.
No. Everybody's back in?
Onana.
No.
Flecken.
Yes. Jimmy. 3-2. No. Right. Casey McAteer recently switched allegiances from England to Ireland and made his debut in the 2-0 loss the other night. But which Premier League team does he currently play for?
Ipswich.
No.
Southampton.
Casey.
No.
Oh no! I need to get back in because I think I know who it is.
Fuck's sake.
No pressure, Dean.
Fuck. Brighton.
No.
Leicester.
Yeah, Gary. 4-2 Dean, man, you're having a shocker here. Having an absolute shocker here. Do you know what? There's a couple of questions coming up that are quite fun. Right, next question. Which ex-Premier League manager has just taken over the US men's national team?
Pochettino.
Gary just edged that, I think.
You did. Sorry,
He
Dino.
did. Gary, I think that
Sympathy
means- what's that? 5-2-0.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Gary gets the next question right.
Or if you get one question right either, so you could play. You can play on my team.
Right.
If you get it
Every
right, I
time.
win.
And look at this. You see this? Building alliances against me, even in a harmless quiz.
I can't. I'm actually
sign
not
the
happy.
It's the way I'm built, Jimmy.
It's the first quiz we're doing, and our current league champion is going to be our first quiz champion. Anyway, Jean-Philippe Mateta scored a hat-trick on the final day of the Premier League season last year, earning Gary the league championship. But who is the last player before Jean-Philippe Mateta? Because I'm going to have to say it like that for you. Who was the last player before him to have scored a Premier League hat-trick on the final day of the season?
Aguero.
No.
Good
Final
question.
day of the season hat-trick. Who'd you say?
Salah.
No.
I love how Dean's just sitting there, waiting for me and Jimmy to get our first questions wrong, so we can
Like
quietly
you should be in there
ponder.
with a sleeper ready to pop
Haaland?
off it. Hallam was just said.
Oh, sorry, I didn't fucking know it.
You stressed me.
I thought you said Salah.
No, Gary said
He was
Salah.
said as well, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Somewhere over the rainbow, Dean will finally think. He's buffering over there in the corner, bless him. Anytime, am I going to have to count down for a comeback in here? Like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5,
Ronaldo?
No. Everybody's back in.
Harry
Son.
Kane.
Gary.
Yeah.
2016, 2017 season versus Hull.
Oh, the before times. Okay.
Mm.
That long.
I think it was that. Yeah, didn't I read earlier? Comments might prove me wrong later on, but anyway. What
Just to show how competitive I am so happy that I've won the first quiz of the year.
6-2-0. What team holds the record for the fewest goals conceded in a Premier League season?
Chelsea.
Yeah, Dean, 1 point.
What teams?
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, it's
You're right.
Mourinho's.
You know what? I'll give you a bonus point if you can tell me what season and who was the manager. That's just
2006 Mourinho?
No.
But it was definitely Mourinho anyway.
Now, I don't know football, but
2004?
I'm pretty sure you're off by about a decade there.
No, it's
No,
Mourinho
no.
04.
It was 2004?
Mourinho 04-05, the team with Ivanovic, Paulo Ferreira, and the boys.
Yeah.
I stand
Better
corrected.
checking
My
What
goals.
was it? Like 8 goals or something the whole season?
14.
14.
15.
No, was it?
15.
Oh.
15 goals conceded in 38 games.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
did not. Better check. Do you want the bonus question anyway? I know Gary's one, but I put some time into this one.
Yeah, go on.
Go on.
This is from a slightly earlier era of the Premier League. You might call these guys the Barclays men, as you might say. These guys who are the gems of years gone past. When you hear the names, you go, And it's a career path question on one of these players. I have played for Borussia Neunkirchen, Eintracht Frankfurt, Fenerbahce, PSG, Bolton, Qatar, Hull, and Durgaspor.
JJ Okocha.
Fuck you, Gary. That was the second is then Bolton. Like, JJ.
It's like Bolton.
Some of those old
The
Barclays.
legend that is JJ Okocha.
Okocha, Morgan Games Pedersen, Mido, all these boys.
Are you about to tell us you're a Bolton fan now as well?
What?
Are you about to pull out a Bolton jersey as well, yeah?
I'll pull up my Leicester jersey in a second, or my Al Ali jersey. Actually, let's see what's in the bag.
Oh, God.
I have a feeling this might become a new segment.
What's in the bag?
What's in John's bag?
Depends which bag we're opening. So we've got an old Porto jersey.
Yes.
Not bad.
That is synonymous with the year Michael Owen won the Premier League for Manchester United. Remember that, Gary?
And we shall never speak of him again.
And they shall never speak of that man again. What else is in the bag? Ooh, this is a nice doozy of a one. Retro Fulham. And one of my favorites. Seattle Sounders.
Nice.
Now,
Nice.
so every week there will be a new football jersey. Actually, and then
Every week we'll see what John has stolen the week previous.
And then Colombia.
Colombia. Why not?
Colombia.
Why
We have
not?
jerseys from all around the world. Well, Gary's sitting there in a Wrexham jersey. Nobody's on his case.
I didn't recognize the jersey. It doesn't come with any points.
Right, boys, to be honest with you, I've had enough of talking to you, so call it a day for tonight.
Much love, darlings. Much
All
love.
right.
Indeed.
Lads, been a pleasure. We'll have you on to do another quiz in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah,
I am
possibly.
happy to defend my title
Okay.
as your quiz champion.
Do you know what? On that note, good luck. We're out.